Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm showing you how to create really effective email creatives, and not only email creatives, but just writing great copy and creating great designs for any type of content that your e-commerce brand might need. But this is going to be specific to email. However, the overarching principles would apply to pretty much anything. So these fundamentals are going to be very important for you to understand. So we're going to begin with the truth behind email creatives. This is where all the results come from. If you've watched my videos, you've seen a bunch of strategies about just principles about the strategies, the tactics, all that type of stuff, but the creative is where the results actually come from. You could have the best strategy in the world, but if your actual content is garbage, you're going to have a really hard time making things happen. However, you cannot let that discourage you, because it should actually motivate you, because that means you can get an easy leg up on all of your competition simply by implementing what's in this section of my training and getting better at these skills. So what skills am I talking about? It's copywriting and design. Now, you likely either have someone on your team right now who takes care of these two things, or maybe it's just you, but either way, this section of my training will be crucial to your brand's success. But keep in mind that these are skills, which means they need to be sharpened over time. Every single one of us on earth is working, or at least should be working, to increase our skill level at any given moment. So we're going to begin with copywriting. First is the workflow. So this isn't actually about the copywriting, but it's about the way it fits into the workflow. So first you have the account manager, goes the copywriter, account manager, designer, account manager, Klaviyo Tech, sent or scheduled. So we're going to get into the weeds on this. So when it comes to creating email or SMS content for an e-commerce brand, it's important to follow an actual organized workflow. And at our agency, speaking broadly, this is what it looks like. You've got the account manager who creates the email brief for the week based on the campaign calendar. The copywriter takes the finished brief and writes the copy. An account manager reviews and edits that copy, goes back and forth with the copywriter on edits until the copy is ready to be designed. Then the designer designs the email around the copy. Unless it's a plain text email or an SMS message, then it would just go straight to this next step, which is the account manager would review and edit the design. They'll go back and forth with the designer on edits until that copy is ready to go on. This shouldn't say the design. This should say to go on to the Klaviyo Tech. And then from there, the Klaviyo Tech will set up the campaign or the flow, proofread it, and set it live or schedule it or send it out or whatever it is. Now, in your case, you might not have as many people on board to handle each step of that workflow. So instead, you would simplify it and you would just go from copywriter to designer to Klaviyo Tech. If those are all the same person, that's fine too. It will just be more work for said person. This is probably the only section of this entire training document that's going to speak on anything other than just copy, but I think it's important to understand where it fits into the content creation process. So now we're going to talk about locking in. This is kind of like the only woo-woo mindset BS part of it, but this is really important when it comes to writing copy. Writing copy is very hard if you aren't in a focused flow state. And with how much we all crave dopamine, it can be really tough to sit down and get some great copy written if you're distracted. So I have a deep work formula that I got from someone else. It's actually an agency owner who scaled his agency up to, I believe, 8 figures or really close to it. And it makes locking in for copywriting or any type of work really easy. So first, you're going to have a large bottle of ice water next to you. You're going to keep drinking it and refilling it. You're going to wear a hoodie with the hood up. You're going to have the room as dark as possible with a fan on. You're going to wear headphones and play the same song on repeat. You might need to turn that off while you're actually writing copy. Set a timer for 60 minutes and take a 10 to 15 minute break after each hour-long work period. Then the last piece of this is to have a set order of tasks to do before you start. It's not like you waste that much time getting these things in place, but just do them. You'll be locked in. You're not going to want to stop working. I promise you, if you just do this, you will love the effects. All right, so now we're getting into the weeds. This is the customer or market research section. So I actually created an entire separate document on the exact SOP we use to do thorough market research for any brand or offer. It uses the exact language that your customers or your customers' competitor or your competitors' customers use, and it gives you everything you need to write effective copy for whatever brand it is in less than 30 minutes. So there's a YouTube video on it. You can go. The link to this document will be in the description of this video, but you can also go back to the channel and look for the AI customer research SOP. That's going to be right here on the channel. That's that video. It'll show you everything you need to know to do this exactly. It literally goes over every step. So go check that out after this. And yeah, in the description of that video, there'll be a link to get the Google Docs so that this is all laid out for you. Now, the importance of market research. First, we'll start with this graphic. You got a copywriter here and a wall that's stopping the copywriter from being a great copywriter. As you can see, we got Ryu here with the market research fireball, and that's what explodes that wall. So I was getting some coaching from an 8-figure copywriter one time, and I asked him what the number one thing is that separates mediocre copywriters from the best of the best, and his answer was research. He said that's the only thing that separates them. Customer research is extremely important when it comes to copy, and it's the number one thing that people skip out on, but it's also the number one most important part of the entire thing. So great research is what separates the greats from the mediocre. Mediocre, do not skip out on it. It doesn't need to take days. You're writing emails here. These are not long form VSLs. All right, now plain text versus design versus plain text hybrid. So these are the 3 types of email formats you need to know. Little graphic here to explain it. But there are 3 different email formats. Most would only tell you that there are 2, plain text and design, but there is a third one, plain text hybrid, and I'll explain why shortly. So we're going to begin with plain text emails. This is an email with nothing but text. There are no images, no graphics, no design buttons. The CTA is a hyperlink piece of text. It's only text. Obviously, all the pressure is on the copywriter here. The designer is not even involved, so the copy has to be good if anything great is going to come from this format. Plain text emails are typically better for offers or brands that solve a specific pain point, and that's because of the fact that it takes high-level, persuasive, engaging copy to get someone to buy something that solves a specific pain point for them. For example, a supplement brand is not going to get someone to buy their supplement because of a cool graphic on a bottle. That's not the reason someone would buy a supplement. They will, however, convert someone with high-level copy that explains why this exact supplement is valuable to solve their exact pain point. That's the reason that type of company would need to use copy instead of heavy design emails. Now, on the other hand, you have design emails. This email is the other end of the spectrum, and it's full of graphics and engaging visuals. It's much easier to write copy for a design email because all the pressure is now on the designer to make it engaging enough to get people to convert. These types of emails are better for brands that sell things like t-shirts, watches, clothing, etc. And the reason being that these are visual products that don't solve a specific pain point. Gymshark could probably write some great copy and it won't sell as well as a well-produced video of some yoked dude rocking their clothes. That just proves the point that visuals sell a product like clothing better than copy, because that's the reason someone is buying it, which is the aesthetics. Like, people buy t-shirts for the way it looks, not for the way the cotton feels. Now, if the clothing were to have some crazy unique mechanism like a built-in air conditioner, that's a unique mechanism that solves a specific problem. So in that case, maybe copy would be a better way to sell it. So that's kind of the 2 ends of the spectrum between plain text and design, but now we're going to get into plain text hybrid emails. So I have yet to hear of anybody else call it this, but others most definitely are using these types of emails. But plain text hybrid emails are essentially just a plain text email, but with some type of graphic element incorporated. And the reason you would want to even use an email like this is to solve a specific pain point while making your idea resonate with someone better or to keep them engaged. The design element might be necessary to help portray a message, or it could help provide just enough dopamine to the reader that it keeps them reading on. The graphic element of this style of email could be a design header section, a photo plugged into the middle of the copy. It could be a design call to action, anything like that. And one example of this would be a product that helps with foot pain. So we'll go over an instance of this. So for a foot pain product, you might include a header section or an image in the middle of the copy that displays the area of the foot that the pain is coming from. That would not only grab attention, but it would also give someone just enough dopamine to continue reading. And just like in this document, the images are keeping you engaged with small, quick dopamine hits, like all of these images. Now, on to the next section. There are 2 things that you need to nail down before you even begin writing copy, and that's product and customer. So if you skip out on these, it's exactly what's going to lead you to unorganized copy that sells $0 worth of product. So the two things here are product details, so what it is that you're selling, and the customer avatar, which is who you're selling it to. Product details is simply knowing your product inside and out. You should understand how it works, the science behind it, if there's science involved, why people have bought it before, the benefits it provides, its downsides, everything about it. The second part of this is your customer avatar. So our AI customer research SOP takes care of that for you. And all you'll need to do is read 400 to 500 words and you'll know exactly who you're selling to and everything about them. The reason this is so important is because the person you're selling to has certain fears, desires, and habits that you should understand inside and out and keep in mind while writing copy. So if you know these two things like the back of your hand, then you'll be able to write effective copy no matter what the product is or no matter who the audience is. You just need to study this before you even begin. Okay, now we're getting into direct response versus branded copy, and then branded direct response afterwards. So there are two types of copy. You have direct response copy and branded copy. Most people don't even know the difference. And of those that do know the difference, they'll make the mistake of thinking that they need to choose one or the other for their brand. But they can actually overlap in the middle, as you can see in the diagram above here. And that's where you meet branded direct response. But first, we're going to define each of these. So first, direct response copy. Some people will call it DR copy. Direct response copy is designed specifically to invoke a direct response from the reader. So I'm going to look at an example of this. It would be a headline that says, Japanese biochemist discovers 6-second appetizer that melts 53 pounds of fat away in under 2 weeks. This direct response copywriter doesn't worry about building a close relationship with the reader and nurturing them for days, weeks, months, or even years. They just want the reader to say yes or no right now. Direct response. So this style of copy will naturally sound way more salesy, since it's created specifically to get the reader to respond right away. That's kind of the concept of it. Now, branded copy. So branded copy is designed to build a strong brand equity in the mind of the reader. An example of this would be a brand slogan like Built Ford Tough or Smile More. Another example would be a headline that says something like Your partner and all your vision needs. That's branded copy. It's not selling you hard, it's just selling the brand. And so these slogans and headlines aren't selling you hard whatsoever. They're literally just there to give their brand a positive spot in your brain. You can think of it as like real estate in your brain. That's what branded copy is trying to do. They want to build up strong brand equity in your brain, so when you need their product or service, you go to them since you trust them already and you love the brand so much. That's the power of branded copy. And as you can probably tell, an entire book could be written on both direct response and branded copy, but this section just covers them in brief detail. But now we're going to get into branded direct response, which is where these two meet. So branded direct response is where you toe the line between direct response and branded copy. And as I previously mentioned, you don't have to choose one or the other. You don't have to choose direct response or branding for your style of copywriting for your brand. These two are on different ends of a spectrum. And when you hover in the middle of the spectrum, you're writing a style of copy called branded direct response. This style of copy uses some direct response principles, but it still maintains the overall brand equity that we're looking for. It allows you to sell without stepping outside of your brand voice. So an example of a branded direct response headline would be something like, rid your foot of gout-related acids and walk freely again with our new supplement. So this is an example because it sells you and it's giving clear benefits and it's still branded. It's not too salesy. And this might be like with our, like the name of the supplement might be kind of a branded thing. So you can see it's selling you softly, but it's still maintaining the branding. So the truth here is that the majority of brands would benefit from using some type of branded direct response copy. And the reason for that is because why wouldn't you want to just sell as hard as you can without stepping outside of your brand identity? But an important caveat here is that when you use a branded direct response style of copy, you can't sell as hard as you could with direct response. And you also can't create the brand equity that you might want to with branded copy. So that's kind of like the downside of it, is that you can't go as far as you want on either end of the spectrum. So if you think of your branding as the branding circle in this diagram, so while it loads, this branding circle, you can think of that as your brand. You might want to just step as far to the edge of it as you possibly can in terms of direct response style copy without actually leaving your brand's identity. So that's something that comes with time, but the more you analyze different pieces of copy, the more you'll notice what style they're actually using. So that's about it for copywriting. Now we're going to get into email design. So we're going to begin with how your email copywriting plays into the designs. And the truth is that most of the results that your email marketing generate will come from the copy. However, email designs are very important for brands that sell a more visual product or a product that doesn't solve a specific pain point like we already mentioned. So some examples that would be clothing brands, jewelry brands, watch brands, you get the idea. However, designs are also very important for maintaining brand equity and giving the brand a high quality look, and also controlling how the reader digests the information that you are presenting to them. So we're going to get started with the different aspects of a design email. So you can see this is a Dr. Squatch email broken down by section or just aspects of it. So there are a few basic elements that ecom designs will typically have. We're going to define each element in this section. Some of these are going to be copy elements, but I'm not going to explain how to write the copy since this whole part of the document is on design. Instead, I'm just going to explain how they should be used in terms of the design of the copy. So first, the logo. This is a simple brand logo. It belongs at the top of the email. Its purpose is to clearly display the brand that the viewer is receiving the email from. That's pretty much it for the logo. As for the headline, this should be big. It should be bold, attention-grabbing text, usually at the very, very top of the email as well. Then you have other copy. So this is going to be scattered throughout like sub-headlines and body copy. This just has to be there so that you can get the copy in, but you want to blend it into the design as seamlessly as you possibly can. Then you have the call to action. So this is going to be an engaging button that they're going to click to get to the next step of the sales funnel. Lastly, you have transitions. So transitions are, you can call them visually pleasing ways to move from section to section. Sometimes they won't be there, but sometimes they can make an email look much, much cleaner. So we're going to begin with the header section, which is also called the above the fold section. So above the fold is what viewers see before they even begin scrolling. The core offer of the email will be here in the above the fold section. So it's important that it's engaging and cleanly laid out. So as an example, we're going to look at the image below, which is the above the fold section from a Dr. Squatch email. So you can see it's very clean, very direct, easy to understand offer with a clear button that stands out, and then the image is also very engaging. Now, below the fold. So the below the fold section of an email is what viewers see after they begin scrolling. The entire point of this is to help guide the reader through the copy and to the call to action. And then we're going to go back to an example from the same Dr. Squatch email. So you can see copy, very clean with some white space around it. Very clearly laid out steps here that they want you to do. And then just a clean, like just basic subheadline, button. It's all very cleanly laid out because your viewer or your reader doesn't have a lot of time and they don't want to be spending a lot of time in your email. Like it's very clear, it's very cleanly laid out. That's what's important. Now, the typical design email layout is something that varies a lot, but for the most part, this like layout that I'm about to give you is you're gonna see success if you use it, and it's very standard. But like I said, it can be mixed around. So you're gonna have the above the fold section here. You have the logo, headline, image, other copy like subheadlines and body copy, and then your above the fold call to action, and then you'll have in the below the fold section you'll have a subheadline, an image, body copy, and call to action. So if we go back to this one, you can see in the header section they've got the logo, headline, other copy, and this is a call to action, and then this image kind of acts as a transition, but it's also just imagery. And then below the fold you have this copy, more copy, call to action. This could be considered a transition. It's not really a transition, but it moves it from this section to the next. More copy, call to action, imagery. You get the idea. So that's kind of like the basic layout. Like I said, this could be mixed up a fair bit, but it's going to be a general framework to follow that you'll see success with. Now, a big part of this is guiding the viewer's eyes. So you can see this image. It's probably an image you've seen before, but you can see the first thing you read here was this. Then you read this part. Then your eyes go to this, and now you go up and read that part. So this pretty much sums up the entire purpose of this section of this training. You can guide the reader through the copy based on the layout of the text, and this is a really, really big factor in creating designs specifically so that they convert. Do not make the mistake of just throwing all the copy into an email design without any thought. You should put a lot of thought into the placement of each block of copy and the size of it, and this perfectly displays that. So that's about it. If you want to know a little bit about us and what we do everything that you just listened to me talk about in this training for our clients every single month. And yeah, our offer is done for you, email and SMS marketing, and we guarantee to boost your monthly email and SMS revenue $30K to $100K a month in just 60 days, or you'll be refunded in full. If that sounds interesting to you, you can click in the link in the description to book a free consultation call with me. That call is not for me to hard sell you. It's genuinely just a chance for me to understand your business and just see where or how we can help you out and create more profit for you on a monthly basis. So hit the link in the description if you want to grab that call. And from there, also, if you're on the fence, check out these interviews that are also on the channel here with some of our clients. Like for Jeff, we added $30K a month in 30 days. For David, got huge results, completely transformed their strategy. And for Zach, we added $20K a month in just 60 days. So go check those interviews out as well if you're on the fence. But otherwise, hit the link in the description to book that call. I hope you got some value from this, and I will talk to you soon.